Live from your home of death to all technology, you're listening to Techies Talking Tech Tonight, colloquially known as T4. I'm your host, Trey Comstock, and it is Tuesday, February the 17th, 2015. I am joined as ever by Jimmy Principe.
Hello, Internet.
Hello, Jimmy. So this is T4. This is the show where we talk about tech at night as techies. It's free form and sweary and whatever.
Whatever the fuck we want, actually.
Yeah. And so, Jimmy, you came across something that really makes me want to swear. So would you please share it with the folks at home?
So I was at a happy hour today, as I do with people. And
Good for you.
Yes. And one of my friends was telling me, "Oh yeah, I got a Surface Pro 3 for Christmas."
Which is, by the way, a full Windows 8 tablet that
it's a real thing. It works great. And she's saying, like, you know, I feel like I need someone to teach me how to use it. It's better than the laptop I had. It's a lot lighter. But I really just use it as a laptop, and as a laptop, it's not as good because the keyboard isn't as good. I'm like, okay. I mean,
I kind of disagree with that, but
what I said is like, okay. I mean, like, if you're sitting at a desk and typing, I looked at her. I said, just get a Bluetooth keyboard that you like, if you want to, like, sit at a desk and type. But the other keyboard's great, anyways.
Yeah, I think that I think the type cover is pretty. I do like a lot of typing, and.
You're going to wear the type cover out so fast. It's going to be hilarious.
I'm surprised it's lasted this long. The amount of pages I've had to churn since August.
That's true, actually.
I'm surprised it's perfectly fine. Anyways, I disagree.
So we get down into it, and I said, well, the advantage is, though, that you get a Surface Pro 3, it's a laptop, but it replaces an iPad 2. You don't need an iPad and a laptop. You just need a Surface Pro 3. And she goes, well, yeah, but it hasn't fully replaced my iPad. I said, okay, like how?
How?
Well, it doesn't have as many apps. I go, okay.
What? Well, first of all, no. It has every app that runs on Windows 7.
That's true.
Every program, every application. It doesn't have dumb mobile apps, you're right. But it has any free software tool.
It has less flashlight apps.
Yes.
Never mind, I'm not going to say that.
It has a real web browser. It can run Flash and Silverlight. It can...
You don't need a Netflix app. You just
It
run
can run
Netflix.
DOSBox and run Microsoft. It can run Steam and run any video game. Continue.
I said, okay, like what? And she said, well, you know, the Netflix app... isn't as good. I said, okay, but like what else? Oh, like my bank app. And I just like had this, what? And luckily one of my friends jumped in because I was so flabbergasted I couldn't like respond. He goes, well, you just use the internet for that. And the response I got was, I just want to be able to click a button and have it open and be done, not have to like go to a web browser and like go to the website. And
so I click a button, Chrome. I hit two keys, W, E. Google's been storing my web history long enough to know that when I hit W-E, I want to go to wellsfargo.com.
Well, it bothers me because, you know, I'm using Internet Explorer right now, and I typed in F, and on Chrome, F means Facebook. So I click F, and I hit Enter, and I go to Facebook.
That's why I don't understand people who do, like, bookmarks or... in the modern era, you do bookmarks or shortcuts or whatever because it saves your web history. So if I hit C, I want to go to CNET, and it's just CNET and I go. 2 clicks. Or G, giant bomb. GA, GameSpot.com. Like it.
Well, I use it. I have bookmarks for things I don't use all the time, but I know that if I start typing them, because I can never remember what these stupid sites are. If I start typing them, it'll say, "Oh, this is a bookmark of yours. Do you want to go there?" Yeah. Yes.
For some like the Emory tools, like our HR software, I have some bookmarks, but it's not my main modus operandi. So, okay, let me break down this scenario. One, if you really just want to hit a button and go to Wells Fargo, you can pin Wells Fargo to the home screen in Windows 8 and in iOS and in Windows Phone 8.1.
And you can do it in Android as well, I believe.
I don't use Android, so I can't make that claim.
Keep going.
So that's step 1. Step 2, and I just tried this on my Wells Fargo mobile app. You still have to enter your password even after you hit the button to launch it. So you're really not any more efficient than just using the web browser. Our generation is just the death to technology. We have these incredible tools, and what
there's an add to home screen button. I don't know if you can see that.
I figured there was. I just don't use the darn operating system. We have all of this technology available to us. This Game Boy Micro has more powerful than the Apollo 11 spaceship. I use it to play Pokemon. This iPhone is more powerful than some supercomputers in the 1980s. We use it to launch a mobile banking app. But that's not the worst of it. The worst of it is that all of those apps are really just repackaged websites. Now I get like games.
Well, especially once we got to HTML5.
Right. Which these apps only exist because HTML5 wasn't all that prevalent. Now it is, so you don't need a YouTube app, although you have one, or a Yelp app, or a Wells Fargo app, or any of these. You know, you need like a Flappy Birds app because it's a game, or you can't really control your GoPro camera from a website. God bless you if you try.
You can barely control it from the app.
From the app. That's one downside with GoPros. It's just that app is trash. Most of these things, though, certainly that Wells Fargo, a well-structured mobile website would make that app pointless. And just pin the mobile website to your home screen. And because, you can take pictures of checks. Yeah, a website can turn on your camera. Like, that's what Google Hangouts is. So, so many of these things, this thing that could be a supercomputer in the 1980s, and what we want is dumb repackaged apps. The Facebook app? Why is it? Why is that app? Why? Not what, but why? We have, like, in the 1960s, cutting-edge technology put a man on the moon. In the 1980s and 90s, cutting-edge technology connected the world and ended up creating things like Wikipedia and Amazon, where you could get any information that you wanted instantly, and you get any dumb crap you wanted within 2 days. Right? What have we done? All we've done is create social networking, which are just bulletin board systems with some Chrome on them.
I'm gonna argue that the analogy of what we've done now is currently supercomputers are being used to map proteins and amino acids.
Yes, but that's not the dominant use of computers.
No, that's true.
Scientific research was literally the dominant use of computer, or business was in the 1960s. My analogy isn't perfect. My point is that the people who want to go into technology are making dumb social apps. They're making the social app for people who ride electric bicycles. How many people ride electric bicycles? It's really a growth area. Yeah, from 0. Your growth number can look great if no one previously rode electric bicycles. Right, this is where, like, people are going to Silicon Valley and making millions and billions of dollars off of stuff that literally no one needs, and I'm not entirely sure that anyone really wants. If you want a really good example of this, you need to watch the HBO show Silicon Valley. They put their first season, it's on iTunes, it may even be on Netflix, I don't know. It's hilarious, and it really just shows that, like, this app economy is a bunch of well-educated people making dreck. Just utter dreck. That is in some ways no better than what we had on the web and as programs for computers. What is WhatsApp except AIM for phones? What is it really except AIM that you could take with you? And if AOL had thought about this 6 years ago, they could have just totally made WhatsApp and Line and Kakao Talk and all of these totally pointless because it's just AIM for the next generation that just runs natively on mobile, which turns out isn't that hard to do. It's just, what's the text message client look like? Oh, we'll just replicate that.
Well, and a perfect example of it runs on the web, but why not just use it as an app? So like the game 2048, it was originally on GitHub. It's an HTML5 game that was then eventually packaged into an app, and then all these variants occurred. But I was running the HTML5 version on my phone. I had it as a link, and it looked like an app. It operated like an app. In fact, if you didn't know, you would just assume it was an app.
You see, we've had web apps for a really long time. They were called Flash games. And they were a big deal when we were kids.
Oh, God, I loved Flash games.
Everyone played before they were playing free-to-play mobile apps.
Well, see, but like Flappy Birds is just another idea of a Flash game that I know I played that was the most popular game on the addictinggames.com Flash games boards.
So it's like we think that this economy just came out of nowhere, and what it really is, websites and Flash games, and now it's a multi-billion-dollar economy, so we call it apps, and people have so bought into this that it's just this new crazy, you just have to have an app. Why?
It's because they can just collect so much data on you by having an app.
Why can't they do that with the website?
Well, because you have to approve it on the website. When you download the app, you say, yes, I want to download this app. I accept all of your crazy things.
No, I mean...
Flashlight apps are the perfect example of this.
Right.
So what does a flashlight app need to do? It needs to access the light on your camera. So maybe it needs to access the camera to turn the light on.
Yep, it does.
So then you go to the flashlight app and you download it, and it says, "Oh, we need access to your contacts, your search history, your location data, and the camera."
And you
it's
kind of
go, why?
And then
I need a flashlight app download.
Thankfully, iOS solved this problem, where you now can. It's the flashlight control is just native.
Yeah, and in
as they were on Nokia phones 15 years ago.
Yeah, on Lollipop they've also solved this. It's in the pull down drawer.
Right. Which is what it always should have been in the first place. So that way I'm not giving my location data to meaningless corporation.
China.
I mean, it's all going to China, right? Sina Weibo. It's all going. Yep. I really hate apps. I hate them. They're the worst. That we are the ruination of technology. We have really powerful tools, and we use it for total BS. Constantly. Oh, God.
So here, I've got one other thing for tonight. Is Windows 10 technical preview.
Oh, yeah.
So, I've had the technical preview installed on this machine for a couple weeks now. And I'd say that overall, I'm pretty happy with it. So I do have the Cortana bar in the bottom left corner, right next to. No, I don't use it very much actively, and by that I mean I don't. So I have a microphone connected to this machine, but I don't actively use the voice stuff in it. However, what Cortana is doing is really it's just a replacement of the Omni search that was in Windows 7 and Windows 8. Where when you just start typing, when you're in the search field or in the start menu, it'll search for you. But the difference is that Cortana is also pulling web results, which is very helpful. I'm trying to use this out of the box. I don't have Chrome installed, which has caused some issues for me. I also had some weird beta problems. Like before the show, I was trying to install Lightroom, and Lightroom was fighting me. So I need to figure that out. But I really like, so one of the big things they changed in this build of Windows 10, which I'm running evaluate build 9926 right now. So the start menu was changed so that when you click start, it shows the modern UI style tiles, and then you can full screen it and make it like it would be on a tablet. Which is a change from the way it was before. The way it was before, it was more Windows 7. This is more Windows 8. Where they kept a little bit of the comfort of Windows 7, but they kept all of the functionality of Windows 8. The live tiles didn't look quite the same. And I think that it looks better and it works better in this build. The other thing is that I like the way that it handles snapping of apps. So that's something they added in Windows 7 was app snapping using specifically the arrow keys. So when I open up an app and I snap it to one side, what it'll do is it'll show me all the other apps I have open in kind of an expose kind of mode. And then I can click the one I want and it'll full. So, I have half and half. So it gives me the choice. Hey, what do you want me to put over here? And so that
sounds a lot better. Snapping is just a little kludgy.
Yes, snapping isn't perfect. This makes it so that like clicking, because I don't do it with the mouse very much in Windows 7 or Windows 8. The other thing is you can click full screen and so right now, we're using Skype and I have the modern UI app kind of off to the side, just kind of running its own thing. I can hit the full screen button and I'll go to what would have been on Windows 8 if I was running out of the modern UI app. But in this case, I get a lot less distinction between a modern UI and a x86 Windows 7 app or Windows 7 program. And so just the integration between the two different ecosystems is a lot better. And they took away the charms menu.
Everyone fetches about the charms. I use the charms all the time.
Well, I think their point is that you don't need the charms.
But how do I share things without the share charm?
It's within the menu, so they've added a little menu kind of thing at the top left corner of the modern apps.
Can I click the share and then I share things?
Yeah, it clicks that and then share, and then it pops up the same exact share charm that you're used to. There's a notification bar where it'll show you all your notifications, and I can flip it to tablet mode in here. I can connect something, apparently. I'm really afraid to click any of these buttons while we're podcasting. I'm going to click connect.
Yeah, something about mission critical computers.
Make sure the device is turned on. Oh.
That's just how it handles device control.
That's Bluetooth. Okay. And that's where all the settings are. So it'll pop up the settings, and it gives you something that is a
Hold on. How many control panels are there?
How
many control panels? Does settings handle all settings?
No. It might. There's two different. I currently have two different control panels open. Here, if I go into devices, and I go into devices over here, I think that this is just two different. It's serving me the same information in two different ways.
Can you add remove program from the settings?
From the one on the thing?
Obviously you can do it from real control panel.
Right. Not obvious.
Yep. Still ruined. How many versions of IE are on this thing?
1.
Okay, we've made some progress.
Improvement.
Still 2 ways to adjust different settings. But at least one version of IE, because I don't even know how to get. Windows 8.1 on some level is incredibly frustrating in that regard.
Personally, the one thing that I really want them to take out on Windows 10, and I don't know if they took it out on Windows 8. I assume they did. Is classic mode, because I walked by a coworker's computer yesterday. We're running Windows 7. It's 2015. For anyone that hasn't checked, it is 2015.
Yep, it is officially.
It is officially 2015. I should not walk by a computer and go, why the fuck are we in 1995?
Right.
Classic. It's not 1995 anymore. XP included that to make you feel like everything was okay. XP was freaking 13 years ago.
Yep.
There's been more time since XP came out to now than from when XP came out, and the operating system that is emulating.
Windows 95.
Windows 95.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, Windows 95 included Program Manager. Think about that for a second. Windows 95 included Program Manager.
Windows 98 did not.
Windows 98 did not. But Windows 98 still had DOS, which we're still emulating.
Yeah, we are still emulating DOS.
But
that's because, as we discussed before the show, sysadmins rule the world, and sysadmins love DOS.
Well, I don't know if I've said it on this show before or not. If you know command prompts, it is faster than clicking. So in the public health world, there are two or three different Stata, SPSS, and SAS. So these are all statistical analytical programs. Stata, SPSS, and SAS. So SPSS is really user-friendly because you click drop-down menus, and there's menus and, graphics-based user GUIs, graphics-based user interfaces, and all these things we're used to. And SAS is solely command prompt. Okay? Solely command prompt. Soul-suckingly command prompt. You are writing code to make SAS go. And what I learned in living, because it's been a long time since I dealt with command prompt, and what I learned or remembered is that if you know the commands, it is so much easier just to type the commands, and so much faster, because you can just do just things in seconds that take a lot of clicking and fiddling and drop-down menus and all of this. And so I get what sysadmins are on about. If you know the code, you're always going to be faster just typing and never taking your hands off the keyboard, and you just go. The issue with DOS and the issue with SAS and all of these is that it's very hard to acquire new users, especially in this day and age where no one expects the Spanish Inquisition. Because if you don't know that code, if you basically have to sit down and program the thing, most people don't know that going in. Whereas a graphical user interface, you can click the thing. There's a visual metaphor that makes this much more approachable. So I get it.
Well, and so the drafting software that we used up until very recently, and many people still use, is AutoCAD. Mm-hmm. And AutoCAD is a command line based program. Basically, it used to be that you literally fed it coordinates.
Yep. And
it would draft based on the coordinates you fed it. However, it's not that anymore. But I learned AutoCAD on AutoCAD 2004 in high school. And I'm now using AutoCAD 2015, and I still type in the same things, and I don't have to know where the stupid button is because they keep moving the buttons around.
This is my problem in Photoshop.
This is the problem in Photoshop. So just knowing, and in Photoshop, the answer is also the same. Knowing the shortcut or knowing the what you need to type in to get it to do what you want is so much faster.
So this, as ever happens with this show, brings us back to Final Cut Pro, and one of the problems with Final Cut Pro X. They changed the shortcuts. They changed the shortcuts.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a big problem.
So it used to be to make an independent clip, to make a sub clip from a big clip, right? So if you have like a huge, like hour-long worth of footage and you're trying to make small sub clips to plug it in. To make a standalone clip, it used to be Command U. Always. It was Command U. And I just have this like Command U based muscle memory thing. In Final Cut Pro X, it is Option G. Neither of the buttons are the same.
Why?
I don't know. Because it's not actually, because it's a different software lineage, I think. So I and O still work. So I for setting your in point, O for setting your out point. That's great. But Option G? Really? It still catches me out. I have to stop and go, how do I make a clip? And I'm usually a defender. I am actually a defender of Final Cut Pro X. It is not childish. It is
It's not
Looks
as bad as people make it out to be.
No. And honestly, I mean, Premiere just kind of looks halfway between old Final Cut and new Final Cut. And so, Premiere has figured out the weakness in the market of Final Cut and are exploiting this. We're going to make it look closer to what you're used to so that you feel like, because you have the same amount of control under the hood in both of them. It's just how it looks rather than what it actually is.
Oh, Final Cut.
I spent a lot of time. Imagine I spent a lot of time in Final Cut. Okay.
So Trey, you got a new thing,
I
right?
did. So we actually have a new device. It's so early in the year, and yet it's Nintendo, and so we have a new device. So Nintendo released to the United States the new, terrible name, the new 3DS XL. Available only as the XL in the United States, although in other markets there's a regular sized one and an XL one. And so, I mean, it's, you can see here, it's a 3DS.
It's quite XL.
It is XL. There are some very distinct differences, though. For one, this probably won't come out. It's really small. There's this small little nubbin thing here. This is also another analog stick. So one analog stick, two analog sticks.
Oh, yeah, no, I can see it.
Analog stick and analog nub. Kind of functions like a nub on an old IBM laptop.
Lenovo still has them.
Yeah. In addition, you have an extra set of shoulder buttons here. So normal shoulder buttons, additional shoulder buttons.
Interesting.
The other big hardware change is there's a new processor on the inside. So there will be some games that will be compatible with this and not compatible with the old ones.
Which will in no way be very confusing.
Right now it's only Xenoblade Chronicles, but there might be other ones. There's also a little extra camera here. So there's always been a front-facing camera for video chat that you're going to do on your 3DS, whatever. But there's this secondary one. And what this does is it enables a more advanced face tracking so that it adjusts the 3D effect based on where your head is.
Oh, interesting.
So it used to be on the old 3DS.
How well does it work?
It works.
Okay.
Not perfectly, but it works.
You expect it to work perfectly.
So it used to be that you had to hold in a very specific position if you wanted to leave the 3D on, such that you turned the 3D off because you didn't want to sit in this exact position. With this, I really can. It takes a second for it to adjust. But I'm not like flailing my 3DS around much, although some games do that. And so once it figures out where my face is and you can see the calculation happen, it works. I leave the 3D turned up much higher than I used to because of this feature. Now, I have some gripes with this device. And,
one, it has a bad name.
Well, it has a bad name, but that's almost the norm. The other thing is, so they added a feature. You can replace the battery, user-accessible battery. Fantastic. So the battery is hidden under this Samsung-esque, extremely flimsy plastic plate.
Oh, God.
That you have to use a screwdriver to remove. 2 screws. And that's the only way you can change the memory card as well. The first time I pulled this off, I bent it, such that it does not go on right anymore, and I have these little ridges that dig into my palm.
Oh.
Because how flimsy, and it is absolutely like Samsung battery plate, kind of like, look at it.
Yeah, because those are super, super flimsy.
Yeah. So I don't like that. And right now you can't buy another one, and so as soon as a new one comes on the market, I'm going to buy a new back plate for this thing. So besides my gripe about the back plate, this thing was wonderful. So I've been playing. They just released Zelda Majora's Mask for 3D.
Right. It was very well reviewed.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm playing through Ocarina of Time 3D right now, and then I'm going to go straight into Majora's Mask. So I've been playing this a ton this weekend. So I bought this, picked it up on release day, and some of it's the 3D. The new 3D stuff. Some of it is
better 3D stuff.
The better 3D stuff. Some of it's I didn't have an XL before. This is a lot more immersive. You feel a lot more drawn into this. The rounded corners here, which is on the old XL as well, make a big difference. The original 3DS would really dig into your hand because it was much more of a hard corner. This is more rounded. it's sleek. It has a much more modern look. There's a lot going for this device. I am very
well, and they upgraded the processor in it, so there will be things that you'll be able to do with that you were not able to do with your previous one.
And the load times on stuff you have now are better.
Okay.
I have seen other people do a side-by-side comparison. I myself have not done a side-by-side comparison.
Well, because you sold your old 3DS back when you got that one, correct?
Right, yeah. So I traded... GameStop had a stupid deal, so I could get more money out of it. And so I was like, fine, let this thing go that I don't need anymore. And they let me keep the charger, which is great, so I have a charger, because, of course, the new one doesn't come with a charger.
God, I hate that
caveat
trend.
emptor, buyer beware. Doesn't come with a charger. It's so stupid. We thought, they did that in Japan. We thought, that's just Japan. No, they did it here too. 3DS fundamentally in this world of phones is better able to maintain its reason for existence than the Vita.
Yeah, and I'd agree with you on that.
Because of the unique gameplay experiences that you can get nowhere else. Nowhere else are you getting a 3D version of Ocarina of Time where the 3D effect is worth a darn and doesn't require stupid glasses. No, there are games that take advantage of the uniqueness of this hardware. This is slower than my iPhone. This is, I believe, still slower than the Vita. But it doesn't matter because it's not trying to do the same thing.
The Vita is trying to shove a PS3 into a device that size.
Well, no, I mean, it's an advanced tablet. It was an advanced tablet 3 years ago.
Yeah, it has a Tegra 3 in it, right?
Yeah, Tegra 3.
Which is still only a 2-generation old Tegra processor.
No, that's great. But 3 years from now, it's going to be a lot older, and it can't change. So what works for Nintendo in handheld, not keeping up with the technological times, doing something unique, works on handheld. It doesn't work on console, apparently. Right, because they use that same strategy both places. Who cares what the hardware specs are? The games are good. Because with the consoles,
in most cases, they're right.
Let's be clear. What Xbox One and PS4 are doing at this point is they're basically low-end gaming machines. Low-end gaming PCs. I mean, the Microsoft one, literally, is a low-end gaming machine. But they're just almost, not quite, but almost off-the-shelf gaming hardware parts. ATI graphics cards.
Yeah, I mean, they're using commercially available...
and AMD processors.
Yeah.
It's all, I mean...
It's a system on a chip that's commercially available.
Right.
I could go buy it.
Right. And yet that's apparent... The console market is twisted in that way, where that's what people really want. And some, and some of it's the type of games, and first-person shooters are much more graphically determined than 3D platformers. And so I think that's some of what's happening. But on the handheld market, Nintendo's strategy is totally sound. I got rid of my Vita because I didn't see a need for it in my life. I bought a new 3DS. Partly because I just like devices. Because I use it.
Yeah.
And there are games out that I want to play that are only available on the 3DS. I think they're too expensive, but I'm going to pay it. Besides Ocarina and Majora's, I really want to play Persona Q. It's the same characters from Persona 4. I get to spend more time with them. And there's also a game called Project Steam coming out this year that's kind of like XCOM that looks really cool. And I have faith that Nintendo is going to keep supporting this platform. I have no faith that Sony even realizes they still have the Vita as part of their platform.
They realize it. They're just not doing anything with it.
Well, no, they're just doing cross-buy indie stuff, which for some people is wonderful. And Tom McShay, who left GameSpot recently, argues that the Vita is the best console out there because what he wants to do is play Spelunky on the bus. Where'd
he end up?
He's right now freelancing.
Okay.
If you want a really good game reviewer who stirs up controversy in the right way, hire Tom McShay.
Yeah.
I really appreciate his perspective. But he always argues that the Vita is really the best game system out there. But he really likes that type of indie game that plays well on a Vita that I can't stand. roguelikes will make me want to jump off the thought of roguelikes make me want to jump off a cliff. Because they're not really story driven. They're procedural and they're basically platformers, and I don't like any of those words.
Platformer?
And,
no, thank you.
I mean, I like procedurally driven when it's integrated with the story, like Shadows of Mordor. Then I thought the Nemesis system is one of the things that helped win that Game of the Year, right? From us.
Oh, yeah.
And that's procedurally generated within the context of a story. But if you're just procedurally generated levels for me to grind through and die a lot, no. I mean, Dark Souls, to me, is better than that. Now, but I get a lot of people like that. It's just, I'm in gaming for a different thing.
Yeah.
I'm in gaming in the same way that I'm in books and I'm in movies. I want a narrative that I'm interacting with. And I wasn't getting that experience on the Vita, and except for really slightly porny Japanese games.
At least you're honest with yourself.
There's a lot. I'm not. That was not an allusion to Persona 4. Oddly, there are actual whack you whack the female enemy and her clothes parts of her clothes fly off.
Oh, God,
that's a game. That
should not be a game,
right? And so there's a lot of those coming out for Vita right now because Vita's doing pretty well in Japan apparently. But I totally recommend the new 3DS. Oh, it also has Amiibo support. I'm not going to bother demonstrating this because Amiibos suck. But it does have Amiibo support. Amiibo, they're terrible. They're just...
And they got you. They got you.
No, they didn't. I bought one.
That's true.
I've bought more than one Disney Infinity figure. Okay? I bought Groot along with the 3 it came with. So I have 4 Disney Infinity characters. One I bought even though I'd already tested it out. I just really wanted Groot. I have a thing for Groot. I am Groot. Right, I have a thing for Groot. I have a Groot Lego, I have a Groot bobblehead, and I have a Groot Disney Infinity character. I wanted it. I need to get back to playing that game again. I'm buried in games, which is a total first world problem.
Which is awesome.
But if I like a figure thing, you know how many minifigs I have, right? And minifigs have no digital component.
Oh, yeah.
I have one Amiibo. One. Matthew, my link. And that's all I intend to get unless it drastically changes. So the figures,
it won't.
The figures are okay. They're okay figures. But I get so mad about how poorly the digital integration side is that I want nothing to do with these pretty okay figures. I mean, I think some of them are downright great. Some of them but some of them are pretty cool. The Link one's all right, but I like dumb pieces of plastic, but they did it wrong. Like Skylanders and Disney Infinity, slightly exploitative business model if you're not 7 years old. But if you're 7 years old and playing with these figures outside of the game through normal creative play and playing them inside the game, I bought so many Star Wars action figures.
I was like, just think about action figures back in the day.
Right. So if these are just slightly, and also, so I was in the toy aisle at Walmart looking for Lego minifigs. And
yeah.
Action figures are now like the same price as Skylanders.
Yeah,
there were wrestling figures that were like $20. So like, action figures should be $6. They're not $6 anymore.
Inflation happens.
Inflation happens, and so the $10 to $15 you're paying for an Amiibo or for a Disney Infinity character or for a Skylander is kind of what action figures cost. And these integrate with video games, and 2 of them do it so well that I hope this is still a category when my kid is 4 and can really appreciate this, because we're gonna have some fun with some friggin' Skylanders or whatever the equivalent is, because I think this is just a fantastic thing. And even Lego with their minifigs is starting to do it. They now have a game app for iPad that the minifigs integrate with. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do with Toys to Life, and Nintendo just didn't do it.
Oh yeah.
All of this Amiibo rant is complaining about a device that I think is fantastic. If you don't have a 3DS, consider getting one. If you don't have a 3DS XL, this is something to jump to. If you already have a 3DS XL, I can't tell you. That's not what I came from. And so I don't know how much of my difference with this is that I have never used an XL before, or that the 3D is better. But the 3D is better.
The 3D and the load times.
3D load times and the Seasick. To me, and it's $200. And
it's right in the right.
It's right in the right
price
range
point
for it. And it'll come down. In a year it'll probably be $150. So if you're not me, don't absolutely have this thing now, which is to say you're kind of a normal person.
If you don't need the new thing immediately,
wait a year when there's either a used market or a price drop. But I thoroughly recommend it. So I like something, just not Amiibo or apps. not apps.
Or
On that note,
what we're doing with the internet.
Yeah, just the internet. I like the internet some of the time. Feedback for the show, podcast@textlesscall.com, facebook.com/textlesscall, or @textlesscall on the Twitters. Send feedback there. We'll read it, and we'll even read it on the show. Good night. That's a handheld. As usual, it's a handheld, no 1-1.
Yep.